We're about to dive into what might be one of the most incredible archaeological finds of our time. It's a perfectly preserved artifact of ancient political debate, and it gives us this tiny window into how human governance got started. So the real question is, after all these thousands of years, has anything really changed?
So this is it. This is the only surviving transcript from a Stone Age tribal council meeting. I know. At first glance, it just looks like chaos, right? But scholars think this single line of text might just be the Rosetta Stone for understanding politics itself, the key to how we communicate when we're trying to make decisions together.
So how in the world do you even begin to unpack something this dense? Well, we're going to throw everything we've got at it, the full force of modern linguistic analysis, and break it down piece by piece. The hope is to find the smart, political moves hidden in these ancient words. And our first clue is actually pretty familiar.
Buried deep inside all of that, we found something, a foothold we could recognize, the word brooder. Honestly, this was a huge breakthrough. It was the first little piece of the puzzle that connected their world to ours.
See, brooder, or brother, wasn't just about family. In the Stone Age political scene, it was a totally strategic move. It's that appeal to friendship, to kinship. A speaker would use it to soften up another hunter right before arguing that, his family deserved the biggest piece of the mammoth because their cave is a little drafty. A political classic.
Okay, so as we kept digging through the text, we found another piece we could recognize. Bitte, a plea. This tells us we're not just looking at a statement, but at a moment of really high-stakes negotiation.
And bitte, or please, wasn't just about being polite. No way. It was used in really critical situations. Just imagine one tribesman staring down another who's just rhythmically sharpening a spear while they're discussing who gets which patch of land. Bitte, in that context, basically means, I'm formally asking you to stop looking so incredibly threatening right now.
Okay, so what about the rest of this mess? Well, it's still pretty ambiguous. Top analysts suggest Werbedere could be talking about that dreaded shiny rock tribe from over the hill. Kamavi Nena might be some kind of chant for getting a better cave spot. And Sam Ja, well, it's either a super strong yes or a very defiant no. Apparently, it all depended on the speaker's posture, which, didn't survive.
But after weeks of this, honestly, we were getting nowhere. The literal translation just wasn't working. And that's when it hit us. A totally radical new idea. What if we've been trying to translate the words when we should have been listening to the noise?
Just think about it for a second. What if this isn't one coherent sentence from one person at all? What if what was actually recorded here wasn't a speech, but the ambient, chaotic, overlapping sound of an entire political debate? The sound of democracy in its rawest, purest form?
And this is where it all clicks. On the left, you've got our ancient transcript. On the right, a phonetic transcription of the background noise from a modern political rally. They're identical. The same pleas, the appeals to friendship, the totally incomprehensible crosstalk. It is literally the same cacophony. The sound hasn't changed one bit.
So what does this all mean? Well, it means that while our language, our problems, and our tech have totally evolved, the basic sound signature of governance has stayed exactly the same for millennia. It's this timeless, chaotic, and, fundamentally human noise.
Let's just look at our text one last time, but not as words. Let's look at it as an emotional transcript. You've got the desperate plea, bitte. You have the strategic appeal to kinship, brooder. And then you have the overwhelming, confusing, passionate noise of everybody else just trying to be heard. That isn't just a Stone Age debate. That's every political debate.
I mean, think about it. We've traded sharpened rocks for social media, cave paintings for cable news. We've built these incredible, complex systems of law and philosophy, but when it really comes down to it, to the moment of debate, the basic sound of us trying to make a decision together is, it's eerily familiar. The tools change. The noise doesn't.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought. This ancient text, which at first seems so primitive, now feels startlingly modern. It forces us to ask a pretty uncomfortable question. If the sound of our political arguments is indistinguishable from this, have we really left the cave?